Welcome again, everybody, to the St. Cloud area. Salute July 4th. Thanks for coming out this morning on this warm morning to join the St. Cloud Fireworks Committee in helping to continue the tradition and celebration of our Independence Day. I know it's a warm morning. It certainly feels like July 4th, and we're thankful to have all of you come together to celebrate, to continue the celebration. Thanks for social distancing. We know some of you are in the medical profession, and we have to be careful to keep everybody healthy. We are honored to be able to present in a few minutes a flyover by two F-16 Fighting Falcons from the 148th Fighter Wing of the Minnesota Air National Guard. And we want to remember that there's about 52 people behind the two pilots that will be flying over. Those people are supporting those aircraft today on a volunteer basis. I'll now ask the Metro Vets to post the colors.
Fire, attention. Forward, right shoulder, arch. Forward, march. Left, face. Present, arm.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets spread glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Order, arch. Parade, rest.
Thank you, Jamie. Well, that really makes it feel like the 4th of July. I'd now like to ask Bishop Donald Kettler to offer our invocation. The Most Reverend Donald Kettler was scheduled to bless the barge. What we usually do every morning on the 4th of July is have a priest come down as one final measure of insurance to bless the barge and the pyrotechnic operator crew. And this year, the bishop was scheduled to do it. So we've asked him to be here to do that. Hopefully everything will go fine. Now, I know the bishop, before he came to St. Cloud, was the bishop of Fairbanks. And was it ever this warm on a July 4th at Fairbanks?
I saw 95.
Oh, okay, there you go. Thank you, Bishop.
God bless all of you. God bless our communities. God bless our country on this 4th of July. Let us pray. Gracious, loving, caring God, we thank you for the blessings that you have shared with us, the gifts of freedom, of care for people in our country, of unity in diversity, We thank you for those blessings, and we pray that you will keep us safe, and keep us always in your loving care and hands. We pray particularly today for all those affected by the coronavirus, particularly all of our caregivers. Keep them healthy and safe. But please help us find a way to better control this virus. Bless our country. We ask your guidance and wisdom as we struggle with difficulties among our peoples, in our communities, in our state, country, and world, and in our church. We ask your wisdom and counsel to guide us with all of that. So please, Lord, bless this day, bless this holiday, bless all of our people, bless our community and country, and walk with us now and always. We pray all of this in the name of our God and Creator, Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Bishop. I'd now like to ask Mayor Dave Weiss to make some remarks. You know, the mayor became mayor in 2018, which the following year was the year of our city's sesquicentennial. That was the first year we launched pyrotechnics from a barge. You know, Dave understands that a thriving community is comprised of many organizations and governments intertwined in partnership. He promotes the city as a central component for providing an atmosphere for people, organizations, and businesses to flourish. I know recently things have been challenging for all of us, especially the mayor. He's had to deal with a global pandemic, some local civil challenges, and a challenging economy. But I told him two things recently. Number one, that being mayor for 15 years wasn't always going to be parades and ribbon cutting ceremonies. But number two, that he's the right guy in the right place at the right time. So, Mayor Weiss.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate the kind words, and I really appreciate you being here. This is always a challenging time because this would be a time that we would want thousands of people to be here, and I know thousands of people would love to be here, but we are in a different time, and we and I think all of us understand the importance of the health of others, and we all understand the importance of others, that self-sacrifice that so many have given our nation so that we can celebrate today. I want to thank the Metro vets here who are also always here, and the Fireworks Committee, Tom Richardson as the president, and I know a number of the board members are here. Thank you for what you do, and also the folks Freedom Flight, I know is parked right back here. Thank you. What you do is you give not only your time, your treasure, so that we can all enjoy our Independence Day and our nation's birthday. Bishop, I want to also thank the Bishop for your prayer this morning. It is so important, and one of the most important aspects, I think, in these times and at all times, is that we continue to pray. Pray for our nation, pray for our community, pray for our state, pray for all of us here in this community and in this world. I want to thank also James Claxton, who gave one of the best renditions of the national anthem. Bob's going to play when the flyover comes. Whitney Houston. Okay, so there are two people I know really do the national anthem well: Whitney Houston and James over here. So thank you for being here this morning. This, as we celebrate our Independence Day, it's important, and this is something that I carry the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution with me all the time. And so if you see me running on the trail, just ask me, because I also carry a running version of this, and there are a number of them over at the table. So please, if I haven't given you one, take one. I think it is so important. This is a document, both the Declaration and the Constitution of the United States, that I read on an annual basis, normally in September during Constitution Day, and the Declaration of Independence, which I read. And And actually, in the last 3 months, I think I read the Constitution at least once a week, because it's important. It's important. This was one of all legal documents and government documents ever written. The Constitution and the Declaration are among the top of those documents that were written. And for those individuals 244 years ago today who gathered to declare their independence, I know that Ox isn't here, but if he was, he would tell me, don't ever read the Declaration of Independence, because it is long. But I do want to read the beginning of the Declaration of Independence, and probably even more important, that last sentence, because it's extremely important as we gather here today. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitled them, a decent respect of the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure that right, governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That last piece, from the consent of the governed, is so important to remember. It's we the people that lead this nation. Those who us are in positions such as I as mayor, or whether you're in the legislature or in Congress, we're honored to serve based on the consent of the governed. It's important that we remember today, on this day, as we celebrate our independence of our nation, the importance of that line and the importance of that document, and the importance of the freedom, and the importance also, if you think, always I think it's important to understand the content of history as in the time that you are in. And it's so important for those individuals who gathered 244 years ago. They gathered in June and selected 3 individuals, Jefferson, Adams, and Franklin, to draft the Declaration. By today's standards, by the way, they met in June, and they had a draft by July 2nd. The legislature meets in February and doesn't even have anything done by the time it's summer. Just kidding, that's just my political aspect of things. But they met in June, and they had a draft, and on the 2nd, and of course on the 4th of July, they signed that declaration. And I think to understand really the weight of what they were doing, and of course we know how important that is, that freedom, that liberty that we live in this nation, in this community, this state. But I think the last sentence of that declaration is something I do think is important to read, because it really sums up what they did and why they did. The Declaration, of course, sets that moral standard. It sets that aspect of what later then, of course, as they drafted the Constitution, but that last line is so important. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. You put that in the contents of where they were, and how important and how much of a risk and what they did, and what we now are honored to benefit from. It's so important that we gather and honor our nation and that document on Independence Day. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all of what you do in this community. God bless all of you, and God continue to bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Mayor. For those watching the clock, I've got 10:31. I don't have any updates from the Air Force, but if you want to start getting your phones ready, because we're expecting the flight between 10:35 and 10:45. I think I'll see it first, because I think it's coming over from this direction. So we're gonna vamp a little bit. I now, and in case we have to stop the program, please bear with us. But I'd now like to ask Major General Gerald Lang to make a few comments. General Lang is also a member of the St. Cloud 4th of July Fireworks Committee. I got about 3 pages of introductions for him. I don't know if this helicopter is with us or not, but I know he started as a second lieutenant in 1976. I got to get through a little bit of this. First position as General Officer Lang was assigned the Deputy Commanding General 34th Infantry, Red Bull Division. In 2009, the General was deployed to 34th Infantry to Iraq, where they assumed command and control of a multinational division in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Now, Jerry's known for saying that great military leaders focus on amazing tactics, but brilliant military leaders focus on logistics. Now, does that apply to civilians as well?
It does, absolutely does.
So I'm proud to introduce a great military man, a great community man, a father, new grandfather yesterday,
Yes.
mentor leader, someone I'm privileged to call friend.
Thank you.
General Lang.
Thank you. I hate it when the introduction lasts longer than when you're going to speak. So, I after 43 years in the Army, I stood in enough formations in the hot sun, and I stood at podiums with 1,500 or whatever soldiers standing in formation. Listening to somebody speak, and I'm not going to do it to Dishonor Guard, I'm not going to do it to you guys. But what I did is, all I did today was I pulled up a couple of quotes. Quotes from 244 years ago from the leaders, the framers of the Declaration of Independence. And when you read some of these, just as the mayor was talking about reading the Declaration, some of the words, some of the quotes that they said back then are as relevant then and today as they were back then. And I think that's important. So I'm just going to read you a few of them. John Adams, who will be celebrated, he's talking about the 4th of July, it will be celebrated with pomp and parade and bonfires and illumination from one end of this continent to the other. Boy, is that true, and I hope that stays true for the next 100 years. Robert McCracken, we on this continent should never forget that men first crossed the Atlantic not to find soil for their plows, but to secure liberty for their souls. James Blaine, and this is kind of interesting, the United States is the only country with a known birthday. Abraham Lincoln, 150 years ago. I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives, but also I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. Val Sainsbury, my favorite thing about the United States is lots of Americans, but one American. And of course, Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death. And one that we've heard so many times, and this is the actual individual that quoted it, this nation will remain the land of the free only so long it is the home of the brave. And only about 58 years ago today, John F. Kennedy, one that you certainly all remember, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And I think there's sometimes the last few years that this is pretty important, and maybe we should reread this one. I was talking to a young individual the other day. When you're 69 years old, everybody's a young individual. But we were talking about the Declaration of Independence, and he made the comment, wow, that was a bunch of old men writing some old words from old men. And I said, well, that's not necessarily true. These young men are doing some of the same things that you were doing today. And to prove that point, some of the founding fathers, Aaron Burr was 20 years old. Alexander Hamilton, 21 years old. James Madison, 23 years old. John Jay, 29 years old. And the individual who wrote 95% of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, 33 years old. These were young kids back then, making a huge impact on a nation that right now is 244 years old. And if we look at what's going on today, I think it's important to remember that, yes, young people did make a difference, but they stuck with it. They stuck to it, just as the mayor said, that many of them paid a very, very heavy price for it. but I think it's good to look back on the individuals, the founders of the Declaration of this country, and at times revere them for what they've done. That's all I have. Thank you for being here. It's great to see everybody, and let's continue this show. I have 100% confidence that the 148th Fighter Work will be time on target exactly when they're supposed to.